Hey y'all, welcome to the filling station. It has been an interesting day in the market. Y'all, let me go ahead and start with my disclaimer. I am not a financial advisor. I just enjoy teaching people how to build generational wealth. And yes, the stock market is just one of those avenues. So this video is for educational purposes only. If you could please like, share, comment, subscribe, all of that, because we learn and we grow together. With that being said, let's get started. So the first one on the list today is Tesla. Yo, Tesla does what Tesla does. As you can see, pre-market, we made a high of 304.42. We closed at 284.65. That is a difference from the 284 to 304.42 down to the 284. What I wanted to point out is how I like this ATR trail and stop. As you can see, looking at it on this 30-minute chart, looks like we test this area only to get rejected to come back down. You know, some sellers were in this area to bring it back down. What was interesting for Tesla for me is because we were moving pre-market and had already made it to that 304 level. And when I see movements like that with Tesla, it kind of tells me, you know, something's a little off with Tesla. So I need to watch this. You know, did we get some news? What's actually going on with it for it to, you know, to move up the way that it has, considering we just came off of a low here of 273. So we went from 273 back to the 304 area. That's like, okay, red flag, something's wrong, right? So let's go back to our 30-minute chart. Now, looking again, this is the 30-minute chart. It seems like this area here of 294.95, we stayed kind of like in this area, in this zone. That was our support area, which is where this 50 EMA is. So we needed to, you know, it was riding that 50 EMA for a while. What's interesting is our resistance was around that 301.12. So we got a range, right, from the 294.95 area up to the 301.12. That was our, you know, 301.12. That was our zone. Well, guess what? We tried to break back through that, kind of giving you that move like, it may go through, it may move higher, only to try to come back and test this ATR trail and stop. Although we knew that the 200 EMA on the daily chart, right, that was a trouble place for us. So guess what? We did not break that area. Yes, I go to the daily chart, I mark that level, and I need to remember that. Why? Because it can be a support place or a resistance area. Just a little charting tip, right? Now, this next candle here, kind of not quite, but, you know, kind of gives us a double top area. So that tells me, looking at this 30-minute chart, that Tesla's having some issues here at this 301.63. So I need to watch Tesla, right? What will be interesting for me is if it break this level of 294.95. Why? Because price has been here 1, 2, 3, 4. So that's 1 hour, 2 hours. This makes the third hour. Breaking it here takes me back to the fourth hour. So if by chance Tesla breaks this area here, then we could possibly, you know, have some issues. So back to the downside. So I need to be trading Tesla to the downside. So I'm like, okay, so we broke through this level here. I know that's a red flag. We're breaking down. We're going down. We're going down. Guess what? We came back to an area of 289.73 only to find some support in this area. And once we, you know, broke this area, okay, it's downhill. It seems like it's downhill from here. So yeah, breaking. One of the things I try to identify, especially looking at this 30-minute chart, is I try to go and find the zone that it's trading in. And when I say the zone, I mean the support area being here at the 294, resistance was around 301. Once we break in either direction beyond this place or under this place, I know we have trouble. Why? Because we've been here for so long. And y'all know I like to see that 5 and 50 cross. So guess what happened with Tesla? 5 and 50 cross right here. Another signal for me to, it's okay to trade this to the downside. Once we got under that 294.95, 5 and 50 crossing, I like to see that. And guess what? We continue declining. What is interesting is how we found this area of support here around this 286.50. And what's interesting about that is we could have very well bounced and moved back because we stayed here for a little bit, right? But guess what? Buyers, sellers was like, we're going down. It tried to come back up and retest this area only to come, we're going down. So we came down to this area of 283.11, a level that I had marked. I love marking support and resistance, or my gathering spots or trouble places. Why? Because when I'm in the trade, I want to know where my possible trouble places are. And these gray shaded areas help me with that, right? So 283.11 is the support area for Tesla. Well, guess what? We broke that area only to come down here, 279.03, only to get back. We tried to bounce from here, and we did, right? But what's interesting is how we came back to this level down here of 277.40. I need to remember that 277.40 for tomorrow, considering the market is already closed. Why? Because that something stopped us here before. We could very well come back and retest this area again. As you can see, price moves back to after 286.50. Guess what? We came back down. We're under the 5 EMA on this 30-minute chart. We're finding support again, 283.11. I need to remember this 283.11. Why? We've been here before. So if we lose this 283.11, we need to be careful, right? Because we can very well come to this 280.84 again at this 279.03 and 277.40, which we've come down to this 277 area before. So what do I see for Tesla, y'all? I say so often, I do not predict the market. I just trade what I see, because when you're in the, trying to predict it just when you think it's going to do something, guess what? It can go in the opposite direction. So we've got to be careful with that. Just know that we have a lot of support under 280.34. 280.84. We have a lot of support areas for Tesla, so I would watch it definitely under this 274.62 area. Breaking that, we can come down to the 270.74. If we should break that 270.74, y'all see a few layers of support here. So we definitely have to be careful with Tesla as of right now. I'm going to try to go to the daily chart. Just keep in mind, my chart's a little bit congested. This is the 4-hour chart, and price has just been gathering. I can make that a little bit cleaner, let's say that. So price has been, this area 280.84. This is the 4-hour chart again. We need to watch this zone here. We've been in, we're actually in a zone from that 274.62 to 280.84. If price should come back in this area, we definitely need to be careful. I'm going to try to look at this daily chart. Notice I said try. Y'all see all of those marks on my daily chart. But guess what? It works for me. Let me say that. This is our daily chart, that 280.84. We have been here before. Let's see. 227 to 28.33. We are in this place again, so we definitely need to be careful. Tesla got rejected at this 5 EMA, at this 200 EMA. It seems like we're down here again. So are we going to continue declining? That's something to be mindful of. So if you are trading Tesla, I say so often, y'all, trade carefully. In the market, anything is possible. Nothing is guaranteed. So we are now looking at the SPY, because SPY was interesting today, in my opinion. We had a high today. Let me make sure that this is 3.3. Yes, we had a high today of 597.63, and as you can see, it kind of like did what Tesla did, right? It seems like we broke off, bounced off of this ATR trail and stopped again. My opinion, strong support, strong resistance. In this case, it was strong resistance. Seems like we broke out of, bounced off of that, only to go sideways just for a while. This is the 30-minute chart. So when it tried to come up and test this, 20 EMA, 594.17, look, we seem like we got rejected there. 5 and 50 has now crossed at this point, right? Around 12:30, 5 and 50 has crossed. I like to see those. So guess what? We start declining. And then when I looked here, is that a bear flag? It was looking a little bit different. I like to mark those levels only because, just to pay attention to that, right? So this candle was very, very interesting. The low of the candle, 597.48. The high of the candle, 594.22. What made the SPY move in that direction, in that, right, that length, that amount? So I need to watch this. That means something else is going on. So as you can see, the next candle didn't take us back that high. This candle here kind of tried to take us up, but guess what? We came back down, and you see all of these support places. Let me see if I can make that a little bit bigger for us, right? So we came down and found some support here at a level. Y'all know I like to mark my trouble places. 586.08. Looks like we broke out of that. Look at this long candle here. And yes, I always do that. That's why I have to be careful. So that long red candle told us that we definitely did it again. So that long candle showed us that we have some trouble with the SPY. So let me fix it and make sure that we can see it. There we are. We came down. The low of this candle here, 581.21. Look where I had marked at 580.77. So 580.77, low of the candle, 580.83. Yes, 580.83 is the low of the candle. So the SPY was interesting in this point. I'm going to try to zoom back out and get us back kind of where we were. So the SPY eventually made a low of 579.90, 579.90, only to go back. The low of the candle, high of the candle here is 580. 589.07. Wait a minute. So we went from 579.90, low of the candle, to a high of 589.07. That was interesting. Very interesting move, right? So if you traded the SPY today, congratulations. You know, if you were on the right side of the trade. If you were not on the right side of the trade, keep in mind we're still in the learning. Look, every day is a learning process. Every day we learn and we grow, right? So don't get discouraged. We go back and try to look over the charts as I do every single day, just to see what I missed and what I could have learned and what I didn't do right. I always try to go back and look at those places. So this is a recap of Tesla and the SPY today. I'm going to go and look at NVIDIA just to see where we are. NVIDIA, we closed at 114.06. We're down at we made a low of this 112, which is interesting. What I like to see, y'all, is when I go back and look at the areas that it's bouncing off of, you know, these gray lines, when I knew that we could possibly have trouble in those areas. So the market should be interesting. I will watch NVIDIA. Now tomorrow, if we closed at the 114, if we open under this 112.65 or 112.28, it will be interesting. Why? Because something stopped us here and it was support for us. So I would definitely watch it under the 112.28. Breaking that level, we could very well come back to 111.36. Again here at 110.89 and 109.87. So those could be support places. So, okay, if you're trading NVIDIA today, I would say trade carefully. And I'm going to go back to, you know, this 30-minute chart. I'm going to zoom back. And I know, again, y'all, looking at my charts, it is very, very congested. But guess what? It works for me. When I'm in the chart, when I'm in a trade, I want to know where my possible trouble places are. Here is an example here of it bouncing off of the ATR trail and stop getting rejected at these moving averages here. This long candle was a sign we have trouble here, right? So it moved sideways just a little bit. You see where that support area, we have that marked 118.53, and that's where price gathered for a while today. So when we broke out of that, that was a signal to, if you're not in the trade, we could possibly trade it to the downside. We broke out of that, and as you can see, we continue to decline. So if you traded NVIDIA today, congratulations. I would definitely watch and see what the market holds for tomorrow. I say that so often. Let's go to Meta just to see, what happened today. It hit a high today of 681.25. We closed at 655.05. That is a difference, right? So what's interesting about Meta is, again, it looks like Tesla and the SPY. It looks like this, when the market first opened, we had this gathering spot and it traded kind of like within a zone right here. Support was around 665.79. We had resistance here at 669.41. Well, actually, it could have been here at 673.45 because from this here to, so support was around 665.79. Resistance was around 673.45. It traded sideways for a while. So once it broke out of this area right here, I would have been looking to trade it to the downside. My 5 and 50 crossing or separation here, that could have been my confirmation as to if I would have entered this trade to the downside. I would have definitely been careful once it got rejected. Here I would have felt a little bit more comfortable, but keep in mind my MACD. Normally, again, I would be in a smaller time frame at this point, but the MACD kind of helps me stay in my trades a little bit longer. So if you traded Meta today, trading it out of under this 665.79 down to, let's see the low of this candle here, 650.84. that could have been a decent trade depending on how many contracts you bought if you're trading options, right? So again, this hammer here is interesting in my opinion. Let's make sure that that is a hammer. We try to look, well, it looks like a hammer. Let's say that. We need to be careful because it gave us some type of reversal, and it did, only to get, kind of like rejected or going sideways. What's interesting about Meta is we're right here at the 655.22 area. So we definitely need to watch that. If by chance tomorrow we open under the 650.82, we know we have some issues somewhere, so we need to be very, very careful. So again, if you traded Meta today, it was interesting. It has been an interesting journey in the market altogether, y'all. So these are some of the things that I like to go back and do some type of recap just to see where we are and what happened today and what's going on in the market. Again, I don't like to predict. I like to mark my levels and trade what I see. I hope these videos are very, very helpful for you. I hope that everyone had a very profitable day, a very productive day. If you could, again, please like, share, comment, subscribe, all of that, because we learn and we grow together. So until next time, y'all, be blessed as well as a blessing unto others.